Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Tyler Nieskern. I'm the President and CEO of the Sandusky County Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight, and I also want to thank each one of the candidates for your willingness to participate in this and also your willingness to serve our community. So I want to start with some quick thank yous just to make this event possible. First and foremost, the Chamber's Legislative Affairs Committee has actually been the ones who were able to conceptualize and bring this event to fruition. So if we could please give a round of applause for our Legislative Committee. We have them sitting up here. They're going to be going through questions. And so I want to thank them for their efforts. And I would also like to thank Al Gaylor, who is here. He is going to be our moderator. He's going to go through and he will lay out some of the ground rules as well as how the format will flow. And then I would also like to thank Dave Thornberry. He is here with the Digital Ridge Marketing. He is also the marketing director of the Sandusky County Visitors Bureau. He will be recording the event, and we will be distributing that through our social media and our website after the event. And then lastly, obviously, I would like to thank Vanguard for hosting us. With that, I would like to get this started. Thanks again for coming out tonight. If you have any questions, feel free to scan the QR code on the programs that were in the entryway, and our legislative committee will go through those and ask them in real time. So thank you all.
Like Tyler said, thank you all for being here. I'm Al Gaylor. I'm the extension educator for Ag and Natural Resources here in Sandusky County with Ohio State University. Have served on the legislative committee in the past and currently serve on the Ag committee at the Chamber, and glad to help out, and glad to see a good turnout here tonight. As Tyler said, I'm basically just going to be moderator, basically going to be a timekeeper and a Gestapo to make sure that everybody has the same amount of time and opportunity to introduce themselves, give their opening remarks, and answer their questions. The way it'll work tonight is we'll go through race by race for each candidate. For each race, all the candidates that are present will be invited to come down to the seats up front while we're doing that particular race. You're going to have 3 minutes to provide an opening statement, and we will keep that pretty tight so that we can get everybody through here this evening. We have quite a few candidates in attendance, which is great. After your 3-minute opening statement, we will move into a moderated question and answer session. And I'm going to have someone from the legislative committee monitoring those questions that you can submit by using the QR code on the forms that you picked up at the table, or if you need to, you can write something down, take it to them at the back of the room, and then they'll get it up here to the microphone, and then the committee will ask those questions, and I'll moderate the time. You'll be given 2 minutes to answer the questions that you receive, and then we will have 1 minute for each candidate for closing remarks. And we'll move through the candidates in random order. Rather than doing things alphabetically, I just took all the names and jumbled them up here, so whoever I draw out of the pile is going to be asked to provide their remarks first, and then we'll go through the question and answer and closing statements. And just ask that everybody be respectful of that time. I'll give you a 30-second warning on each segment, and then we'll pretty quickly cut you off on time as we go through. I think that's all I've got, unless you get any other instructions or anything to go, Tyler?
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, first race we're going to start with tonight is for the U.S. Congress in Ohio's 5th District. We have candidates appearing on the ballot for that race, including Bob Latta, Daniel John Burkett, Martin Heberling, Brian Shaver, and Scott Tabor. All right, like I said, guys, we'll start with the opening statements. We'll let you all give your opening statement and return to your seat, and then we'll move into the questions and go through in the same order. So, Scott, you're the lucky winner. We are going to start with you to provide your opening statement.
Okay. Hello, people. As you know, my name is Scott E. Tabor. My initials spell set, and I'm set to be your next congressman. Someone who will actually listen and fight for your needs. I'm running in this race for a simple reason. I care about the kind of future we're leaving our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Most of us just want to know they'll have a fair shot. A good job, safe communities, a chance to build a stable life, not just get left with one great big bill. I came from a family with military background. My father was a Marine. My grandfather fought in World War II. I've had many ancestors fight and die for this country since its inception. I've learned the values of service, discipline, and responsibility, and I will carry those values with me to Washington. Now I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I studied at Lorain County Community College and Ohio University. I decided to be a member of the local 33 Sheet Metal Workers International because I liked working with my hands. And I just retired, and I'd rather be fishing. But I felt someone like me needed to step up and help bring back the cracks and balances this country was built on, or the checks and balances, sorry. I'm a proud father with children, grandchildren, stepchildren, and godchildren. Their future, their opportunity, and their equality are personal to me, not political. This district is full of people who work with their hands, their backs, and their grit. Farmers, manufacturers, tradesmen, truck drivers, nurses, and small business owners, like Daniel over there. We build things, we grow things, we fix things, and we show up when we say we will. That's who we are, and that's who I am. Right now, life feels harder than ever. Groceries cost more, utilities cost more, gas costs more. Wages aren't stretching like they used to. People are working harder and still falling behind.
30 seconds.
I'm not a career politician. I'm someone who has lived these challenges, and I'm running to protect our Constitution, to stop the misuse and abuse of power, and to make this government work for we the people once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. We'll ask Brian to come up next.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to first start by thanking the Sandusky County Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event. I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time out of this really nice evening that we had. It did sprinkle a little bit on the way here, but thank you for taking the time. And if people at home are watching as they see the recording of this, thank you for taking the time to be an informed voter. My name is Brian Shaver. I am running for the 5th U.S. Congressional District. I will start by talking about the 4 lives that I lead every single day in the public life. First of all, I'm a public school educator. I've been a lifelong educator. I've grown up in Northwest Ohio. I'm from Fostoria. I teach at Fostoria schools, and some of my students that I teach every day come to this school for vocational training. So I am fairly local. I am familiar with the halls of this building. But as a classroom teacher over the past 26 years that I've taught, I've seen a change in how teachers are allowed to teach. And I've seen a change in how students learn. There's a lot the state needs to do, so please pay attention to the state races when you hear what the candidates for the state races want to do with education. But at the national level, we can look at the educators and start fully funding the Department of Education again. Start fully funding the programs that have been stripped out of our schools in the last 18 months, special ed and other things. We are now at the precipice of the largest mass of unfunded mandates that we've ever had. So please support educators when you vote in a couple weeks and again in November. The second hat that I wear is still at the school, and I have been the union president of Fostoria Education Association for the last 8 years. I think supporting the labor unions and so on, again, this is an issue that has a lot of state implications, so please listen to those state candidates in a little bit, see what they have to say. But at the national level, we need to support workers. Our country has been the best historically that we've ever been when we make people pay the appropriate amount of taxes, regardless of their tax bracket, and support labor. You can look it up in a historical record. The 2 most prosperous times in our history was when the labor unions started and when they had a resurgence after World War II with labor unions. And at that point, we had a good tax code, and that's what our Congress needs to do. The third hat that I wear is I am the president of Fostoria City Council. I've been a council member for the last 13 years. I've proudly served the city since I've moved back in 2012. And I've enjoyed my time on city council, and we've tried to get a lot done, tried to make sure that we're balancing our budget, which is something that our federal government needs to learn how to do. Thank you. And I think that my experience on city council can get things done. I tell people that I talk about city council because one of the things that happens on city council is we run without party affiliation, and we get stuff done. I am one of the most nonpartisan candidates in this race. I am the most moderate. I've been endorsed by the Elyria Chronicle as the best bet to beat Bob Latta because of my moderate stances on things, because we need to spend 2 years getting things done quickly before I run out of time. My fourth hat that I didn't get a chance to talk to is I'm a full-time PhD student at BGSU. So thank you.
Daniel, you're next.
Good evening. Thank you, Chamber of Commerce, for this event. Again, my name is Daniel Burkett, and I am running for the U.S. Congressional 5th District against Bob Latta. So a little bit about me. I am a lifelong resident of Findlay, Ohio. I am also a small business owner, and I am president of the board for my county's Developmental Disability Center. So when I was going through college, I was given the opportunity to purchase a restaurant that I managed. And to me, that was achieving the American dream. I grew up in a low-income family where we didn't have a lot. We had days where my mom would come home and it was, make this last so I get paid next. There was days where the lights got shut off. The family car was repoed. We were told we weren't going to be anyone. We were told we would be a burden. I grew up on social programs, Medicaid, SNAP, WIC, Sponsored for Christmas, you name it, we got help. But it wasn't a burden. I believe it was an investment. As I stand before you today, I believe that I've achieved that American dream and that investment to give back. So through my business I look at students in schools that might have had the same situation I am, or they're going through some turmoil in their family. Routinely, I give about 15,000 meals per year out to elementary students in my county. I also sponsor Kids for Christmas. This last December, I gave over $2,000 for Kids for Christmas because I was one of those kids that received those. Again, it wasn't a burden, it was an investment. I believe it paid off. Within those social programs that we have to protect them. And when I saw Trump's big, beautiful bill, I said, I have to do something. The center that I'm president for, my individuals rely on Medicaid and SNAP. That is the end of the road for them. They cannot be without those. Your neighbors, family members, maybe even a distant relative. Those are people who rely on these programs. So when I saw that bill and they were going to cut the funding, I said we need to do something about it and protect it. So that's why I jumped in the race last summer. But not just those programs to be protected. I also want to protect Social Security. Also add one. We can do universal health care. We can achieve that for our country. That falls under the umbrella of affordability. That is the key right now that is facing Americans. It's not a buzzword, it is a real life struggle. I embrace those values. I do this every day when I wake up. I say I need to achieve something for someone else too. So that's why I run. I'm here to achieve something for everyone else as well, and hopefully give opportunity for everyone else to achieve the American dream. So thank you.
Martin?
Good evening, and thank you very much for attending. 3 questions that I want to ask you. Number 1, are you happy with your health care? Number 2, do you think public schools are adequately funded? And number 3, do you think it's okay that all adults living in a household are required to work at least 1 to 2 jobs or 3 jobs? In this day and age, that's unacceptable. My name is Martin Heberling. I'm a father of a child who at the age of 9 suffered from a stroke and required an immediate heart transplant. If you've ever dealt with a difficult situation or a severe medical emergency, you understand where I'm coming from. In our country, an estimated 66% of adults or U.S. citizens file bankruptcy because of medical debt. It's a fact. Hospital social workers at hospitals are suggesting divorce as a way to curtail some of that medical debt. That is wrong, and we need to change that. My name is Martin Heberling. I'm a public school teacher. I grew up in poverty. I say this because it connects with public education in any urban or rural district. Public education was my saving grace. It offered possibilities that other opportunities could not. Poverty is the problem. It is not the teachers, it is not the color of the skin of all students. It is poverty itself. School districts are stretched and underfunded and underpaid districts. Budgets are stretched to the max. It is impossible to expect a child to focus on education when they are hyper-focused on survival. Public education needs more funding, and our current lawmakers want to offer much less. In my district, Lorraine City Schools, we have 120 teachers that are being laid off at the end of the year. We have a total of 14,000 students. That's going to mean class holds as estimate around 35 to 32 students. It's going to be very difficult to teach. My name is Martin Heberling, and I'm the treasurer of Lorraine County AFL-CIO,
30 seconds.
former vice president of my union, served on the Lorraine County Children's Services Board for 6 years, and I served on Amherst City Council at large for 7 years. I'm a card-holding union member, and my focus is going to be on protecting working class. I am Martin Heberling, and I'm asking for your vote to beat Bob Latta. Thank you.
Okay, Scott, we'd like to have you come back up to answer questions.
Scott? What do you consider to be the single most important issue in the district, and what concrete steps are you prepared to take to address it?
Well, I would say in our district, Robert Latta. I mean, that family's been here for 46 years doing nothing for us. I mean, a lot of people know he's been there for 16 years, but what you don't know is his father was in there for 30 years before him. So for 46 years, that family's been collecting a paycheck off of us. He's got to go. Latta got to go. I've been out there campaigning. I've been talking to the Republicans, the Democrats, the Independents. They're all ready to get rid of him. So it's not going to be too hard to get rid of Robert Latta, for one. As far as the district goes, I've heard everybody talk about getting money for schools, getting money for the VA, getting money for this, getting money for the SNAP they took, getting it all back. And guess what? You're not getting any of it back. And if Donald Trump has it his way and he has his gets elected a third time, he has to get rid of the Constitution in order to do that. And I'm not going to let that happen. And people say, oh, he's joking. Well, I don't like his jokes. He was joking when he said he wanted to be a dictator on day one. That didn't happen. So I don't trust anything he says. This district is not a flyover district. This district is a hardworking, factories, but like I stated in my opening statement, and we shouldn't be in the position that we're in this district. And I looked up some funding, and I noticed that we had funding, and then Robert Latta had given a lot of funding to the county that he lives in. And Husted, run it again, he did the same thing.
Time.
Okay, so, I'm here to get the Constitution, to protect that Constitution from being destroyed any further. Because without it, our children don't have a future. We'll be just like every other country. That's what makes us different. And it's being crapped on every single day. I plan on stopping it. Okay? I didn't want to have to run, but I'm running for you, and you, and you, and you. Thank you.
Brian?
Thank you. So I think the single biggest issue facing this district right now is affordability.
Brian,
What's that? Excuse me?
we have a special question.
Oh, it's different questions. I thought we got to answer the same questions. Perfect. Well, good, then you guys don't get to steal my answers then.
Oh, yes, we are.
Okay. So take notes.
I will say this loud, Brian.
Perfect.
So that everybody can hear. In today's economic climate with tariffs, what could your office do to protect domestic businesses that are penalized by tariffs when they import items that aren't available in the United States?
Perfect, thank you. Interestingly enough, I was going to talk about affordability and move right into tariffs. So thank you for the question. So one of the things that can happen with tariffs is, first of all, tariffs have been created in the last 18 months by executive order. We have the misconception that tariffs are something that creates and generates revenue for the American people and the American government off the backs of the people that we're taxing. That is false. Tariffs are generated by penalizing countries that we trade with in a globalized society that we helped to create over the last 75 years. And now all of a sudden we're penalizing other nations, or pretending to penalize other nations with these huge tariffs. And we're doing it through executive order. Those tariffs have to be rolled back, because at the end of the day, we, the people of this district, the business owners of these companies, are paying tariffs. And now we have a huge mess where the Supreme Court said that the tariffs are unconstitutional and they're giving money to these businesses, and now all the people that paid these tariffs, like a radiator I had to buy that cost $500 that because I had to source it from a different country when it should have cost $175. You know, I'm not going to see that money, but the businesses potentially will. Where does that start? It starts with our Congress people using this document right here, the Constitution of the United States, and respecting the fact that the president was elected. He has the right to be the president and do the stuff that he wants to do as part of his agenda, but Congress has the responsibility of making sure that the rules are followed in this document and that he follows the rules to make it happen, which means we wouldn't have had tariffs. We wouldn't be in a war that's unjust because it violates the War Powers Resolution in 1973, and we wouldn't have countless other executive orders because they are unconstitutional, and we have a Congress that's sitting on their hands and doing nothing. They got to start following the Constitution. That's the one thing I can do to answer both the last two questions, is get there and make sure we're following that Constitution and making sure that the elected president that we elected follows the rules, as does everybody else. Thank you.
Daniel?
Careful, they'll give you a different question.
Daniel, in today's political climate that's very polarized, can you share your experience and your approach to working across the aisle?
Yeah. So my approach, especially for this district and this campaign, has been meeting voters where they're at. It doesn't matter what neighborhood they're in. It doesn't matter if they're at a Republican event or a nonpartisan event or a Democratic event. If I'm invited, I show up. I was actually just recently, a month or so ago, at a Farm Bureau meeting, which is notoriously a Republican meeting. And I sat there and interacted with farmers who had pretty much disagreements with the elected officials. And I also sat there and was able to talk with Republican elected officials on, items that I think that we could be working on together. Because when it comes to the American people, it's not about politicizing what affects us. Healthcare is not a political game. It should just be about helping people. Affordability, again, is not a political game. It should be about making sure that the lives of people in our country are better. So when working across the aisle, I look at a separate side of things. Say it's not about red versus blue. It's about what can we do for the people that we serve? What can we do to make the people that we serve's lives better? What opportunities can we give them? So when I look at working across the aisle, again, I don't want to see a game of it. I don't want to see a chess match of how we can control a district. I want to see how we can make everyone's lives better, no matter their party affiliation and no matter their beliefs or views. So thank you.
Mark?
popcorn, right?
Yes, sir.
Martin, can you share your experience in working with budgets and explain a little bit on what you would do to make sure the taxpayer dollar is spent efficiently?
That's a fantastic question. As a member of Amherst City Council, that was pretty much most of my job, working with budgets within the means that we had as the city. Working with both tables, Republican, Democrat, Independents in our district too, in our city of Amherst. We did that constantly. When it came to infrastructure, we had limits within that meant. We had to follow those. We had to work within our budget in terms of what taxes were coming in and revenue in the future, as well as what we already had. And our goal was always to stay in that black. So budget was a huge thing for us. In addition to that, I also serve as Lorain County AFL-CIO treasurer, and have been serving there for about 7 years. And that's what I do. You know, we deal with the budgets that come in, the funds that come in, and we want to make sure that everything is solvent. And that's been my goal since day one, and it will be my goal as serving as your next congressman. Thank you.
We'll now ask you guys to come back up, and you'll have 1 minute to give a closing statement. So, Scott?
And hello again. As I stated in the beginning, I'm running in this race to protect the Constitution from any misuse, abuse of power, or any attack on our rights. And I will introduce legislation to ensure that no one can ever manipulate it for personal gain or power ever again. This government was meant to be made up of we the people, by the people, for the people. I'm that average Joe. I'm running in this race for my children, my grandchildren, and your children as well. So I want real change. And you want someone that can de-seat Robert Latta and his family that has been collecting a paycheck from us for 46 years. If that's what you need, then I'm your man.
Time.
Background. Okay. I'm the guy with the backbone, the knowledge, and the wisdom to go to Washington and actually be the voice of the people and the action needed for Washington. I'm the guy that's going to make a real change, not just this political Washington talk that we've been hearing, because how's that working out for us? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Brian?
Thank you. Scott, I can tell you weren't a classroom teacher because when the bell rings, all the kids get up and leave. So I don't get to keep going because I'm just talking to a wall then. So I am Brian Shaver. I'm running for Ohio's 5th Congressional District. I am asking for your support. More than that, I am going to put my teacher hat on for a minute. I'm asking that all of you go out and vote on May 5th. All of you go tell your friends and family members to go out on May 5th. Please vote your conscience, whether that's Republican or Democrat. I would appreciate it if you pulled the Democrat ticket and voted for me. You can see my information on my cards and brianshaverforcongress.com. But if you don't, and you pull that Republican ticket, and that's your prerogative, awesome, please do the political thing and participate. It is important. But I do want you to notice there's 4 great Democratic candidates up here. We showed up. Bob Latta's not here. Bob Latta's been absent for most of the last 18 years. So if you pull that Republican ticket in a couple weeks, please remember me in November. Thank you. And I'm willing to talk afterwards.
Oh, sorry, Daniel.
Yeah, and thank you guys for coming out tonight. And I appreciate you being involved and wanting to know more about people who will represent you this year. Again, I think as you've heard tonight from myself, you'll see that me as a candidate, I'm a champion for people. I'm a champion for the everyday person. But I'm also a champion for the district in a whole, and that means a diverse district. It's not just one county, it's not one city, it's a multi-county district that we have to be a part of. And that's why I've traveled this district tirelessly since June to meet people everywhere. Get to know everyone, build those connections. Because I've also looked at this district and say we shouldn't be bought and paid for. That's why my campaign does not accept APAC money, it doesn't accept corporate money, and I don't accept crypto money either. Because truly, if we want to change things in this world, we must lead by example and be the change that we wish to see. So again, I appreciate you guys coming out tonight and look forward to talking to you later.
And we certainly appreciate all you guys coming, and we will conclude with Daniel's comments.
Martins.
Or Martin's, I'm sorry. I'm all out of whack. I'm reading the script, not the cards I drew.
Thank you very much, and thank you for attending this evening. When you head to the polls, you aren't just voting for a name on a ballot. You are voting for the future of your family's security. I know how fragile that security can be. A few years ago, my world stopped. That was a nightmare. And I don't want you to have to experience that either. Coupled with the fact that this is something that was uncontrollable, it was an undiagnosed situation. We did not know for 9 years that he had something genetically wrong. God willing, he got that heart transplant. What didn't stop is the medical bills. In fact, to this very day, we still struggle with those. And we'll talk about budget, the question I had earlier. We budget that, my wife and I. We did not divorce. We did not take the advice of those social workers. We stayed together. We stayed together for our family. We still have our home. They wanted that. They will want your home too if you're in that situation. I want to stop that. I want to prevent that. In addition to healthcare being my number one center, I'm also fighting for jobs and your safety in your community. Thank you very much. Vote Martin Heberling for Congress.
Thanks, Martin, and thanks to all four candidates for your attendance here this evening. You guys are more than welcome to stick around, and we hope that you would, to mingle with the crowd afterwards. And now we're going to ask that you guys would find a seat back in the audience. And our second race that we're going to cover will be the Ohio State Representative, 88th District. So on your ballot, you are going to see the names of Gary Click, Eric Watson, Aaron W. Jones, and Benjamin David Machukas. And we ask at this time that those who are present would come forward to the stage. In similar format, guys, we're going to call you up one at a time to give 3-minute opening remarks, and we're going to start with Aaron.
Just got comfortable there. When does my clock start?
As soon as you start.
All right, you ready? Okay.
Time.
Wow, that was quick. First of all, thank you all for coming tonight. Thanks for putting this on, and thank you for inviting me. My name is Aaron Jones. I am a Democratic candidate for the 88th District. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Tiffin, Ohio. I grew up outside of Tiffin. Went to school at Clyde High School, where I graduated. After graduating high school, I already knew what I wanted to do, so I joined the military, which I'm very proud of. I'm a proud United States Army veteran. Served with the Airborne Infantry. I know that seems crazy. I'm not. Jumping on airplanes isn't that bad. So after that, I came back to this area. I met my wonderful wife, who couldn't be here tonight, but I would like to thank her for letting me do this. Without her, my life would not be the same, that's for sure. But my wife Tracy and I have 5 children. We have a blended family. We have 4 grandchildren. We live in Tiffin, like I said. I am also a Tiffin City Council member, where I have been for the last 3 years. So if you're familiar with Tiffin, Tiffin's done a lot of very, very positive things with the current administration. It's a great place to live. I'm running for the state representative position because things in Columbus are not working for anybody. They're just not. And if anybody says they are, I would like for someone to simplify it so I can understand it, because it's just not working. We're trying to change things that the voters have already voted on multiple times. You know, we have a piece of legislation, the voters vote on it, we say what we want, and then lo and behold, here we are, we're changing what we voted on. I think that sends a very, very bad message to the voters. And I think the desire of the voters' will needs to be upheld. It really does. And education, like you're going to hear a lot tonight, education, everybody, is in the Ohio Constitution. It's very clear. Public education, it doesn't say you might or you can, it says you shall fund public education. You shall fund it. It's not an option. It's a simple fix. Start following the Ohio Constitution. You know, stop
30 seconds.
giving money to everyone else. And when it comes to grassroots campaigns, I think I'm about the most grassroots campaign you can get. You might call me a sprout, because I haven't taken any money from anybody, and I will not take any money from any political PACs or corporations, because my vote, my stance cannot be bought. And I thank you all for coming tonight.
Gary?
All right, on your mark, you say go, right? 3 minutes, that goes by really fast. So good to see all of you, so many familiar faces. Thank you, Tyler, so much, and to the Legislative Committee for the Chamber for hosting this. I'm actually going to start off with an apology. I owe Eric an apology. The last time we were here, I got my tongue tied. You remember that, Eric? And I said Arkansas instead of Arizona, which is where he moved here from. So here's a can of Arizona tea.
But born and raised in
Yeah, but you haven't been here for a decade. And so you moved him and his wife went to Arizona to make a life for themselves, came back here to retire. And we're glad to have you back, Eric. And I want to commend everyone who is here, who's running, putting your name on the ballot. It's not easy. You get a lot of things said about you. Probably 90% of them are not true. At least that's been my experience. But Eric's got a good endorsement from a sheriff in Arizona. I've got Sheriff Hilton. I put Sheriff Hilton up against any sheriff in Arizona any day of the week. Sheriff Hilton has endorsed me. Sheriff Stevens and Seneca has endorsed me. Even Sheriff Dvorak up in Ottawa County has endorsed me. The Ohio Chamber of Commerce has endorsed me. The NFIB, Buckeye Firearms, E-rating with NRA. I've got the support of Vivek, John Husted, Bernie Marino, Bob Latta, Riley Gaines, Chloe Cole. And I'm the only one who gets run a successful business in Ohio. In fact, sometimes people don't look at a church as a business, but a church cannot ignore basic business principles. When I took this church 20 years ago, they were actually about ready to close. They'd already closed their Christian school. The daycare was about ready to close. They were in dire straits. And when I came, the creditors were coming to the door every day. They were ready to turn off the utilities. They were ready to turn off the gas. They were ready to turn off the lights. But 20 years later, I was able to hand this church over to someone that I had mentored for 14 years and hand it over in a very successful manner. Some legislation. I am the author of House Bill 613, which is the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. Many businesses, but also individuals, have to wait too long when they contest their taxes. Years sometimes, and so this is a priority bill of the Ohio Chamber of Commerce that has endorsed me, and it tightens that time frame to say that they've got to give you resolution. I'm also the primary sponsor of House Bill 484, which is another priority bill for the Chamber. It's about child care. It's called the Workforce Investment Now Act. And we've got to meet the need of child care to meet the need of businesses in our community and in our state, and we're working on that. I also got legislation. I got a bill into the budget called Aim Higher that supports this very institution in dropout recovery. $175,000 went in for that. We've been cutting your taxes. We've been spending money on education and so forth. So we're really working hard for you. We're working on lowering your taxes. We've lowered $3 billion in property tax relief. And so we're doing a lot of things for you. And so I'll cut there. I think I'll beat the timer, which is unusual if any of you know me. But I appreciate your support over the years, and I look forward to serving my final term in the House of Representatives.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me this evening. And first off, Name's Eric Watson, run for state representative for House District 88. And as of last year, this was not planned, but I felt like I was being called. And what I saw was happening in Ohio, as far as our state leadership, worried me. Because as I go around to constituents throughout District 88, and even you heard tonight, is that we got serious problems. One of the biggest problems is we got mismanagement of unclaimed funds. $600 million was decided to be given to a multi-billion-dollar corporation. That's not okay. That means that you guys are put second, third, or fourth. On top of that, they decided to vote through $1.72 billion. And on top of that, we have $136 million that DHS actually discovered about 2 to 3 years now that's going overseas of our tax dollars. Pretty unacceptable, I believe. So how about we get a control on the fraud and the mismanagement of our funds? I have a degree in international studies, which actually has to do with international policy and understanding how that affects our national policy as well as our state policy. And we have major issues coming down the line with infringements upon our constitutional rights right now that I've spoke about. My other degree is in aviation technology. My wife and I have actually, we met in the past, graduated from Ohio, Dayton, Ohio at Wright State University. We trained at Dayton International Airport, and my wife and I met there. It was love at first flight. And so we, Lord takes us on different journeys, and he took us to Arizona for a period of time. I made a successful business. It still runs. My employees run it. In 2022, we decided to make the move back to Ohio. And in doing so, I thought, well, with my educational background and also my business background, I think I can be a really strong help to the smaller communities which District 88 has. I go around, and you know what I hear? I hear constituents' concerns that their elected officials are not listening to them on every level, that they're not putting them first, and that people are going to lose their homes in a major way. That concerns me. 40% calculated of the state, 40%, conservative number, 1.4 million people's 1.4 million will fall into the arrears by the end of this year, possibly in Ohio. Lays out a welcome mat for large institutions to come in and buy up a lot of property, don't it? So we need to make sure that your constitutional rights are protected. Mine are protected as well, because we're all in this together. No political gain here. I just feel that I'm being called to do this. I want to serve. But in doing so, I can be a face, I can be a leader, but I want to listen to you guys, because you guys are actually the most important part of running as a state representative. Thank you.
Aaron, we'll invite you back up to answer a question.
Aaron, I have your question. Do you believe Ohio's current tax structure is competitive for business? What changes, if any, would you advocate to improve the state's business climate?
As far as for businesses, are we talking small businesses, large corporations, or just any business? Because there could be a difference.
Open.
Okay. Well, I think it's pretty obvious in Ohio that small businesses are taking it on the chin. They always have, and it shouldn't be that way. However, some of your larger corporations tend to get by without paying nearly what they should in taxes. I think it should be a fair playing field for all the businesses, probably less for small businesses, but those big corporations that come in and promise you the world and don't pay their fair share of taxes is a big part of the problem. And that can be fixed. It can be fixed, and it can be fixed very easy with some legislation. But when it comes to small businesses, you have to be able to give them bigger breaks, more of an incentive to open a small business. But definitely your larger businesses should be paying their fair share, and a lot of times, and it's not just Ohio, it's across our nation, big businesses tend to get over. And when they fail, we pay for it. And when they succeed, nobody gets anything from that. They get all the stock dollars, they get all that, but yet they're not paying that in their tax,
30 seconds.
in their tax burden. I thank you. Can I just ramble on now for 30 seconds? No, I'm
Why
kidding.
not?
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Gary?
Yes.
Gary?
Bill?
Gary,
Bill?
do you support or oppose Ohio's constitutional amendment on property tax? Why or why not?
Oh, wow, that's an interesting question. So I think people should vote their conscience on that. So I'm not going to tell you all how to vote. I will tell you this, is that I understand the passion of eliminating the property tax. The problem is there's not the other end of that. One of the things we have to look at when we pass any legislation, in fact, I considered legislation to end the property tax, but then you have to say, okay, how are we going to pay for fire? How are we going to pay for EMS? How are we going to pay for our schools? Which, by the way, we gave over $500 million new money to schools this year. How are you going to pay for all the essential services? And if someone can come up with a plan that we can cover all the essential services, I'd be all for that. The problem is, their only suggestion is raise the sales tax. That's not going to work, and my colleague, my friend over here says, well, look at Florida. We got 6 states around us. Florida is a peninsula. And they thrive on tourism, and we're not Florida. We can't do what they do because of that. And you can get to about, the majority of our state can get to any one of those other states in less than an hour. So they're going to go over there and make their major purchases. So that's not going to work. But we need a holistic plan. And by the way, we have done a lot to address. Everybody's upset, and they rightfully upset about the spike in property taxes. And that's why we've given $3 billion in property tax relief, and even more. We're continuing to work on that. And we've also, we've reduced the income tax down to just 2 brackets, which is nothing.
30 seconds.
And then 1.75. And we're continuing to do that until we eliminate the property tax as well. And I'm working on a bill right now. By the way, Janae is in the back. She's my legislative aide, which is a technology investment tax credit for small businesses. Because we do care about our small businesses. We've reduced the CAT tax, which is a commercial activity tax, and we're going to try to eliminate that as well. So we're working on making this state a more business-friendly state. We are actually in the top 5 states to do business in, and Sandusky and Seneca counties have both been in the top 5 micropolitan communities in the last few years. So we're doing good. We can do better, but we're doing great.
Thanks, Gary.
Eric, what measures would you support to ensure transparency, accountability, and efficient use of taxpayer dollars at the state level?
Well, my whole platform focuses on transparency and accountability, because how can you even have accountability if you have no transparency, which is integrity and actually having honesty at the state level? We don't seem to have that right now. We don't have it in Ohio. We don't have it even throughout our nation in some matters. So we actually need to bring forth tax legislation for transparency. We can actually do that so that we can track our dollars. Tax revenue, transparency legislation. I think the constituents, I think the taxpayers actually deserve to see where their money's going. So when their heartstrings are pulled on for passing legislation for new taxes, perhaps for the schools or for other things, that they actually get to see how it's distributed later. I think everybody would love to see that. One of the things as a successful small business owner is budget. If you don't have a budget, you can't function. You fail. And if you don't know where your funds are, how are you ever supposed to have a budget? This state cannot honestly tell you that they know how they're going to fund stuff because the fraud is so rampant, guys. It's awful. So, actually endorsed by Chris Cox. He's actually a Presidential Advisory Council member to DHS. And yeah, I was endorsed by a U.S. congressional candidate, America's Sheriff from Arizona,
30 seconds.
Mark Lamb. And I think it's great because no matter what state you've been in, I'm still in the United States of America. We all travel around. We go to different states. So he wants me to be ashamed of how I traveled around the country. I'm not coming from China, Gary. So, but here in this country, I have an obligation, if elected and when elected, to serve you guys,
Time.
not myself. Thank you.
Okay, we'll invite you back up for closing comments. Aaron? Down to 1 minute this time.
Got to get it right, right? So again, thank you all for coming tonight. I just want to leave you with a few thoughts. May 5th, you have a decision to make in the primary. One of these two gentlemen. Obviously, I'm running unopposed. And then you're going to have another decision to make in November. So there's a lot of time. So there can be a lot of thought and a lot of research. I can tell you this, that I am part of the 88th district. I truly do represent the 88th district because every day I wake up at about 4:30 in the morning and I pack my lunch just like a lot of people in here, and I go to work and I work 9-10 hours a day in a manufacturing setting, which is a large part of the 88th district. Okay, so I do understand what struggle is. I have people that work for me that struggle. I've struggled before, and that's why I'm running. And I'm not going to stand up here and tell you all the people that endorsed me, this or that, and I'll tell you why. Because there's only one group of people that I want to be endorsed by, and that's the voters of the 88th district. Thank you.
Gary?
All right, I'm used to not talking fast, but I'm going to talk fast. First of all, I want to say hi to Brian. Brian, raise your hand back there. Brian Weichert, back there. I'm talking about my whole time. I meet with the people in the district. And Brian is one of those guys. He comes to the tent and sees me sometimes. Sometimes he likes what I'm doing. Sometimes he doesn't like what I'm doing. Right, Brian? But Brian came to me with an idea. It's not just all the bigwigs. It's the people, ordinary people like Brian. Brian's got a service animal down there. You can probably see him afterwards. And he says, why do we have to pay sales tax on our service animals? You don't have to pay sales tax on your other medical equipment. I said, Brian, you're right. And so we just introduced Brian's Law. What bill number is that? 822, 812? 822 is Brian's Law, named after Brian Weichert, right there in the back. So stand up, Brian. Everybody give Brian a round of applause. And thank you, Brian, for bringing that to me. It's just like Keith's Law, which is a voluntary special needs database for people with special needs. We've done that. I'm running out of time. I commend my opponents. They're both good men. Of course, we're talking about different ideas. And but there's one thing they both have in common. Neither one of them have voted in a Republican primary, and both of them are supported by the Democrats. So thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great evening.
Eric?
Gary, I'm a little confused. I'm running as America First candidate, Republican. I've always voted Republican. You can go sniff out my record all you want. I was actually a Republican committeeman in Arizona, so I don't know where your facts are coming from. Long story short, guys, this isn't about me or Gary even at this point. This is about you guys out here. We have some serious issues in the state of Ohio. I'd like to address them, and it's going to take every one of us, because at the end of the day, we're going to have roundtable discussions. We're going to have to get together, and we're really going to have to figure this out. The thing about Florida that's different is that Governor DeSantis actually has a legislator that's come together to try to figure out how to abolish property tax. The referendum process of abolish property tax throughout the state of Ohio is actually a constitutional ballot issue. It's two different things, two different states. I understand that. But at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we do what's right. And I actually do have family members that are firemen, law enforcement, educators, and I do have real solutions that I actually put together so far that we can take to the legislator and actually get together on it and pass once people have heard them. They're common sense issues.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
We certainly appreciate all three of you being here this evening. If you guys would like to return to your seats in the audience, and next we're going to call up those running for the Common Pleas Court General Division. The names that are going to appear on your ballot include John M. Ickes, Jeremy Ray, Beth A. Tischler, and Kimberly Anko. Those that are present, we'd like to call you down to the stage now. Just like we've done, you guys are going to have 3 minutes to give an opening remark, and I'll give you a 30-second warning throughout. And John, we'd like to invite you up first.
All right, first off, 2 weeks ago I had major dental work done. 4 teeth removed up front. I'm talking funny and I apologize, but bear with me, all right? Lifelong resident of Fremont, Ohio, born and raised here. I attended school at Stamm Elementary School. That segued to Riley School, which some of you may remember. We had a couple years where we went to Riley, then the junior high school, and then ultimately at Fremont Ross. I'm sad to say that all of those schools, with the exception of Riley, are now torn down. And it's kind of a weird thing, but it's an experience that I know a lot of people from Fremont have had. Why is it important that I believe that born and raised in Fremont for a judge spot? I think it's important for all elected officials to be representative of their community, but I think judges are vitally important that they are from the area in which they are judging. The reason is that we have shared experiences, we have collective memories and a collective upbringing that we all have when we're raised in a community. That may be different in different cities, but I find that in our local community, we really have a collective way of thinking. And that's very important when you talk about fair and impartial decisions from the bench, because you don't want someone who hasn't been brought up in an area making decisions about how things should go in a particular case. A couple of things. When I've been judged for, it'll be 6 years and 2 months. But for 32 years prior to that, I practiced law, or I have 32 years of total legal experience. I was a practicing attorney in Fremont. When I took over as judge, there was the civil docket in particular was way behind. And I took steps to resurrect and bring it up to speed. In fact, ultimately in 2004, I was invited by the Supreme Court of Ohio to lead roundtable discussions on best practices in civil cases. You may wonder, why is that important? Well, civil cases being up to date, when you have businesses that want to do business in our community, they want to know their contracts will be enforced. They want to know that leases will be upheld. They want to know that if banks want to pursue foreclosures, they'll be able to do that. So awful proud of that. The other thing, we've recently engaged to resurrect our mock trial program. And that's, my staff and I have been working on that. We were scheduled last Friday to start with the elementary school kids. We had a fog delay, which created that they couldn't come. So in a couple weeks, we have the high school students. It's very exciting. The high school government teacher is very excited. And we want to resurrect that program so that the kids are back experiencing some of the trials, some of the courtroom stuff. Thank you.
Beth? You're next.
I was enjoying how much cooler it is down here than up there. Good evening. Thank you first to the Chamber of Commerce for having us this evening and giving us an opportunity to address those of you present as well as those at home who are trying to make an informed decision. I started writing a speech for tonight knowing that we had 3 minutes and that it's really important to not either go long or go short, but to be just spot on. And I wrote it, I rewrote it, and then I thought, oh, my staff would be so mad at me if I took the time to write a speech for this, yet I don't tend to sit and write out what I want to say in a jury trial or other court proceedings. I tend to do better on the fly, looking at the room. So I start with, I'm Beth Tischler, your current Sandusky County prosecutor. I was appointed to that position in February of 2020. I was elected in that Republican primary that year, in that COVID primary, so it wasn't quite when it was supposed to be, but I was then unopposed that November, so I was elected November of 20 to be your first prosecuting attorney, your first female prosecuting attorney in this county. I was reelected, so this is my second term in office. As your Sandusky County prosecutor, I've worked hard to restore the balance, trust, and integrity in that office. I took over for Tim Braun, who Judge Ray removed, I think on December 31st of 2019, creating that vacancy. He'd made a mess in the office, destroyed relationship, destroyed public trust, and created quite a situation. My team, and I call them that, my team, as they are all there every day working to do what our office is there to do. Prosecute cases, represent our fellow elected officials, represent all the townships, represent the trustees, the boards, the commissions, the airport, the land bank, budget commission, you name it. I represent all of my fellow elected officials in my capacity. The primary focus that most people read about in the paper, though, is the criminal prosecutions, and that team, as well as the drug task force, are operated out of my office. With the office, there's a lot of power that I could have. When I was elected, that was part of the problem, that Mr. Braun felt that his power was infinite.
30 seconds.
I have brought balance back to that office. We use that power appropriately. We use the elected authority of our office to do what we're supposed to do, not because we can, not because we're messing with someone. We don't take that approach. Our approach is to uphold the law, to apply the law, and to prosecute individuals who deserve to be prosecuted. I'm on the May 5th Republican primary ballot. I was elected as your Republican prosecutor, and I ask for your support to be your Republican choice for judge of Common Pleas Court. Thank you.
Jeremiah?
Well, good evening, everyone. I appreciate the Chamber for putting this event together this evening. I am Jeremiah Ray, and I currently serve as one of your Common Pleas Court judges. At its core, this job is a lot less about what people say on a stage like this, and much more about what happens when you're sitting alone at your desk with a case file in front of you, which would require you to carefully study with sound judgment. And that's where the real work happens. You read the facts, you study the law, and you make the decisions that affect real people. Victims, families, defendants, and children. Most of the time, no one sees that part of the job, but it is the most important part of that job. Because in that moment, politics has no place. Endorsements have no place. What matters is preparation, ethics, impartiality, and judgment. Over the last several weeks, I've spent a lot of time talking with people across this county by phone and by personally speaking with them and at community events. And I keep hearing some version of the same question. Judge, what actually matters in this job? And I always come up with the same simple answer. Does the person do the work? Do they come prepared? And do they take the time to get it right? Because when they don't, it doesn't just disappear. It can show up later in reversals, delays, unnecessary expenses, and real consequences for real people. And that's how I've approached this office. I come prepared, I review the record thoroughly, I take the responsibility seriously. Because when you strip everything else away, this job is about the decisions you make and the judgment behind them. The people who enter that courtroom are not thinking about politics, they're thinking about whether the process is fair and the decision is right. They deserve someone steady, fair, experienced, and committed to getting it right. This is what I work to do every single day, and I would be honored to earn your support to continue doing that work. Thank you.
Kimberly?
Good evening, and thank you for being here this evening. I'd also like to begin with thanking the Sandusky County Chamber of Commerce for the opportunity to be here this evening and for your continued commitment to supporting our local community. My name is Kimberly Onko, and I'm a candidate for judge for Sandusky County Common Pleas Court. I will not be on the May ballot, however, I will be on the November ballot as I'm running as an independent. By way of background, I grew up in Oak Harbor, just a short drive from here. Like many people in our community, I was raised with the values of hard work, accountability, and service to others. Those values have guided me every step of my journey into this legal profession that I am in, and they bring me here today. My introduction into law began as an intern for Judge Burnett in Erie County. That experience gave me an early and meaningful look into what it means to serve on the bench. Not to just apply the law, but to do so with fairness, patience, and integrity. It showed me that a judge's role is not about power, but about responsibility. More than 20 years ago, I then began working for a local attorney. From the very beginning, I built my career here serving the people of Sandusky County, understanding their concerns and working through their real-life issues that come before our courts every day. While working full-time, I earned my undergrad from Bowling Green State University, and later I went to law school and obtained my law degree from the University of Toledo. That path required discipline and perseverance, and that reflects in my commitment to reaching my goals and serving others through the law. I later opened my own office here in Fremont, where I practiced for several years. Running the practice gave me firsthand experience with a wide range of different types of cases that come to the Common Pleas Court, including civil matters, criminal matters, family issues, and complexities that individuals and businesses face daily. It also gave me a deeper understanding of the importance of being accessible, prepared, and fair. For the last 3 years, I've worked as a magistrate in Sandusky County Common Pleas Court. In that role, I have presided over hearings, reviewed evidence, applied the law, and I've issued decisions that have directly impacted people's lives. I've worked to ensure that every person who enters the courtroom is heard, respected, and treated fairly. All of these experience, my upbringing, my education, my years of private practice, and my service as a magistrate have prepared me for the role of judge. I understand the law, I understand this community, I understand the responsibility that comes with this position. I'm running as an independent candidate as I firmly believe that politics do not belong on the bench. A courtroom is not a place for partisanship, it is a place for fairness, impartiality, and justice. Decisions should be guided by the law and facts, not by political affiliation. This campaign is about service, not politics. I would be honored if I could earn your support and your vote in November. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now come back up in the same order. You'll have 2 minutes to respond to the question that the committee's going to ask. John?
John, how can the court work effectively with local agencies, law enforcement, community organizations, while also maintaining judicial independence?
Good question. It's, in my opinion, it is vitally important that those relationships are very tight. You can do it and have a good relationship with those organizations and entities without being biased. For example, with our local drug task force that was established a number of years ago, but they come to myself and, of course, Judge Ray quite frequently for search warrants. Does that require a closer special relationship? No, it requires us to be independent when we look at what they're trying to present to us. But on the other hand, for them to feel comfortable to come to me and to be able to bring things in their search warrant, that's important. You know, they need to have that rapport. As far as some of the other independent agencies, I mean, we work closely with, well, we have one that's a county agency, TASC, for example, that does a lot of work that correlates or dovetails with what we do in the court. And, you know, I think those relationships are very important. And the ability to, or the way to maintain those are communication, inviting them in and being involved in decisions that are being made day to day for our administration in our court. Thank you.
Beth? Courts face growing caseloads and delays. What strategies would you use to ensure timely, efficient case resolution while maintaining fairness?
That's a great question. As the prosecutor, our office handles a great deal of the cases that are on the court's docket. And there are a lot of ways in which all of us can work cooperatively to make sure that those cases are handled efficiently and effectively without compromising the integrity of the system or anybody's rights within that process. The difficulty is that a lot of outside agencies also, such as defense attorneys, civil attorneys, witness availability, bog down those processes and can cause unnecessary delays. But the role of the court in those is that to have rules, regulations, our court has local rules which prescribe the manner in which cases are to be handled. Our Supreme Court also has guidelines in which they are very, very particular about how cases are handled within a timely manner. And they're very quick to point out what's on your Supreme Court report that's not timely. So the best thing to do is to make sure that you have good working relationships with those that are in the system, that understand your expectations as a court, how things are going to be docketed, how they're going to be set, and make sure that decisions are made in a timely manner. Thank you.
Jeremiah?
Jeremiah, what steps can the court take to improve access to justice for individuals and small businesses who may lack resources for legal representation?
Well, that's a good question. I think every question has been good. What we have right now, access is a difficult thing. We're kind of a little behind the ball, the 8 ball, so to speak, when we are speaking of how modern we are with our court and our clerk's office. But there is a process that's put in place right now. It's promulgated by the Supreme Court, and we have a requirement to ensure that all filings can be done electronically. And what that means is, right now, we just have paper files, okay? And so it's very difficult. If someone wants to have a question answered about a particular case, what they have to do is come down to the courthouse, go to the clerk's office, pull the file, and actually get a photocopy of it. Well, that's, most courts around the state, it isn't that way. You can get the access to those documents online. And so we're in the process of doing that. The other part of that question, I think, that matters is we oftentimes get people that don't have the resources to hire an attorney if they're in a pickle. We try to advise them accordingly. We have a local bar association for which I'm currently the president. It kind of rotates from year to year. But we do work together as a team, most of the local lawyers that are part of that bar association to handle cases and try to refer people when we feel that might be a good fit for that particular individual. Thank you.
Kimberly?
Kimberly, how would you describe your judicial philosophy, and how will it guide your decision-making on the bench?
Well, I think first and foremost, every case has its individual characteristics and factors, facts that will matter in making a determination, and those need to be thought of carefully along with knowing the law. Part of that philosophy is being prepared every day when you come into the office, knowing what your docket is, knowing what those cases will be in front of you. Everyone that comes into the courthouse deserves to be treated kindly and respected. Certainly, it's an adversarial proceeding. They're not all going to be friends. There's going to be moments where people aren't getting along, and ultimately we're made to referee. In fact, magistrate used to be referred to as a referee before they changed the name to magistrate. So oftentimes that is the job of the judicial officer, and I believe that I have been practicing what I believe in that philosophy daily for the last almost 3 years, and I guess it'll be 1 month and it'll actually be fully 3 years that I've been there. Thank you.
Okay, you'll now receive 1 minute to give your closing remarks, and we'll go back to the top of the order with John.
All right, thank you, Chamber, for the invite. Appreciate that and everyone's attendance tonight. I want to finish with talking about what happened. We had today a jury trial. For my staff and I, that's what we call game day. Why is it game day? Because we invite the public to come in and participate in our process. It can be a little bit stressful, it can be a little bit tension-filled, and of course, it involves the rights of a person that's on trial, and our job, my job, is to make sure there's a fair trial. At the end of today, we actually finished the trial in one day. It's a little bit unusual, but we finished the trial, and at the end, I spoke with the jurors. The first thing that the jurors talked about was they wanted to commend me and my staff on how they were treated with respect, and they felt that the process went as smoothly as possible. I mean, nobody wants to do jury duty, right? But these folks were telling me that they appreciated me and my staff. And I'm not making it about me, it's my staff. I mean, a bunch of kudos to my staff. So, John Ickes, asking for re-election in the fall. Thank you.
1 minute goes fast, so I will try to talk faster this time. As you said, I am Beth Tischler, your current Sandusky County prosecutor, lifelong resident of Sandusky County. I have a daughter who's 18, and day after her birthday, she sat on the couch and registered to vote. And last event she came to, and she critiqued all of us and our presentations, and she kind of mentioned things that she felt were important and valuable as a new voter. You know, I think her comment to me was something along the lines of, you can find out about my family and my education if you Google me, or according to them, Chat GPT that stuff. So if you want to learn more about me, you can Chat GPT me. But I am here as your Republican candidate. We are on the Republican primary ballot. I would ask for your support on May 5th. As some of the others mentioned, the most important thing is to get out and vote. As we've done, I'm sure we're all out there, going door to door, doing what we need to do to try to interact with voters. So get out and vote. Thank you.
All right, well, once again, thank you for this event. I really don't have a whole lot more to say, other than I do have the experience. I've been on the bench 7.5 years. I've heard a lot tonight about what happens in the prosecutor's office. Maybe that's something that you should consider when you do go to the poll, because experience truly does matter. I was a lawyer for roughly 20 years before I took the bench. Actually, I think it was 16. I've been on the bench 7.5. And at that time, I handled almost every case that comes before the court on a regular basis. And that matters, because I have those connections. I have that so-called expertise, and I think you need to keep that in mind when you get to the polls on May 5th. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Kimberly?
Thank you again to the Chamber for having us here this evening, and thank you for everyone that's taken your time and submitted questions this evening as well. This campaign really comes down to something simple: service. I'm running because I believe our community deserves a judge who's focused, fair, and fully committed to the responsibilities of the courtroom. My experience growing up in this area, practicing law in this community, and serving as a magistrate have prepared me to step into the role on day one. I understand the law, I understand the people of this county, and I understand the importance of getting it right. And as an independent candidate, I will approach every case the same way, with fairness, integrity, and respect for the law, free from political influence. This campaign, again, is about service, not politics. I'd be honored to earn your support and your vote in November. Thank you.
We appreciate all of you attending tonight. You guys can feel free to find your way back to your seats. And at this time, we're going to move to our next race, which is for the Sandusky County Auditor. Your ballot is going to have one name, David Friedag. And we'll invite him. I hope I said that properly. I should have asked you beforehand to make sure I got it right.
I'll clear that up for you.
If I didn't.
No, it's Freitag, like Friday, because that's the name. That's what it means. It's Freitag. It's
So he will be the name on your ballot, and he will be the candidate here tonight. So, David, you have some minutes.
Hello, yes, I'm David Freitag. Like I said, it's Friday, like the day of the week, so you can remember that. I am the candidate for Sandusky County Auditor. My background, I graduate of Bellevue High School and a Hovey Career Center. When I graduated from high school at 19, I purchased a retail gasoline station in Clyde, Ohio. And I started a journey in the gasoline industry. So I owned gasoline stations in Bellevue, Clyde, and Mount Pleasant, Ohio, if you know where Mount Pleasant is, and Sandusky. So, and I actually had 3 stations before I was 20 years old. So I was in that business for 24 years. Left that business and became a real estate broker. First I was an agent, then a broker. I was a managing partner of Gary J. Strayer Realty in Bellevue, Ohio. Was very successful with that. And fortunately, I made a career change in 2012. The CEO of our Firelands Association of Realtors had retired, and I took that position, so I've held that position since 2012. What does that position consist of? We do education for all the local real estate agents that are realtors. We're a self-policing industry, so I'm also a certified mediator. We do arbitrations, we do hearings, so there's quite a few things we do with that. Plus, we operate the multiple listing service. My background in real estate gives me a unique set of skills because I'm very familiar with property appraisal. Property appraisal is important. No one likes the auditor coming to their house. Let's all just say that up front. We know that. But the one thing I can do is if I see an appraisal that looks off, I would at least have a good background to look at that, and I should be able to tell where we're at with that. It's going to make a big difference, I think. We shall see. The other thing is, if you look at what the auditor handles, there's so many things in that department that they do. Vendor's license. I had a vendor's license for many, many years. Again, we talked about the real estate. It also, cigarette licenses, that's in that office. I was a huge cigarette dealer back when that was a really big deal. So sales tax, another one. Paid sales tax for years, still continue to put it in for my job now.
30 seconds.
Okay, I don't want to hold you up, so I'm going to quit with that, but I'm sure, can I stand here?
You sure can.
Yeah, all right, we'll take the question, I don't have to sit down. Good,
We'll give you just a second to catch your breath.
that's fine, I'm good.
What steps would you take to improve transparency so that taxpayers better understand how their property taxes are calculated and used?
Well, that's a very good question. Now, the one I didn't mention was that I treasured the city of Bellevue. So one of the things we did when I was with the city of Bellevue, still am the treasurer, we put in place the open checkbook. Now, I did have talked to the auditor. I know there was some problems with that. That was an initiative that Josh Mandel had put out when he was the treasurer of the state. I think that had some merit, but there's a lot of confusion in that. So it's a tough thing to fix. I would definitely strive for that. I've always tried to do that in my position with the city, so.
Thank you. We'll give you a minute for any closing remarks.
Okay, again, like I said, I totally left out that I was the Budget and Finance Chairman for 5 years when I was a Bellevue City Councilman. I left Bellevue City Council, and in 2012 I was appointed to Treasurer of the City of Bellevue, which I've been ever since. When I got on council, we actually had like $23,000 in reserves. We were in big trouble. We lost Armstrong Air in 2006. We lost 35% of our municipal income tax, and we had to figure out a way to make it work. We did, and I'm proud to say now we have $30 million in Star, Ohio. We went from 23,000 to 30 million. It's taken us 20 plus years to get there, but you can do it, but you got to make small steps. You eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here this evening as well. At this time, I'd like to call down our candidates for Sandusky County Commissioner. Those appearing on your ballot will be Curtis A. Poole, Richard J. Farmer II, Timothy D. Newman, and Paul K. Lotus. Those that are present want to come down and have a seat on the stage. And I've just randomized these names here for you to come up. We'll start with 3-minute opening remarks. Curtis, you're first.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you to the Chamber for hosting this event. I'm Kurt Cool, or Curtis Cool. It's one of those names that if you say it on the phone, Curtis sounds like Chris, and Kurt sounds like Kirk. So, Kurt Cool, and I'm running for Sandusky County Commissioner. And a little bit of my history. In 2007, as a proud Eagle Scout, I joined the Ohio Army National Guard as a military policeman and served honorably for 5 years. During that time, I was able to acquire a bachelor's degree in atmospheric sciences and climatology from the Ohio State University, and also an associate's in business administration from the Ohio Business College in Sandusky. After the Guard, like many Sandusky County citizens, I worked blue-collar jobs from manual labor, factory work, retail, and now as a CDL truck driver. My wife, Melissa, is a social worker in Fremont. Her and I live in the countryside between Helena and Fremont, and I've lived in both the cities and the country over the years, giving me a great perspective of how to properly address the needs of Sandusky County as a whole. One main reason that I chose to run for this position is because far too many people know so little about our local government. Most people don't know there is a board of 3 commissioners in our county, thinking there was only one, let alone what their powers are to make the average citizen's life better. One commitment of my campaign is clarity for that average citizen. Some of the most frustrating times during my service and on the job is not knowing what the leadership is up to. What are they doing to make my existence better? Well, in this case, the leadership is using my money, and I don't know what they're doing with it, and they don't make it easy to find out. The monolithic leadership in this county has consistently let down their citizens by making information hard to attain. Here are some ways that we can fix that situation. We need to move commissioner meetings to a time that most full-time workers can attend. Having commissioner meetings at 8 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays doesn't make any sense for the average working person. At the very least, we can move some of these meetings to an afternoon evening slot, making it much more accessible. And what about people who can't make it to those meetings in person? Well, I will work to have recordings available online for those persons. I've seen other government bodies in this county live stream and or record their sessions on the internet, and why not the commissioners? I will work to make the Commissioner's Corner, their version of a newsletter, more consistent and easily accessible as an information source. And the county website desperately needs an update. It's stuck in the 2000s. The people need to know what their government is doing. And if I'm elected, they would not have to jump through so many hoops to find out. An informed population helps society grow and prosper and is one of the most important aspects of our government.
30 seconds.
And I was right at the end, so thank you for coming tonight and thank you for your support.
Richard?
Well, thank you all for coming. Thank you to the Chamber for putting on this event. I've been I started my campaign with sending emails to every elected official, township trustee, city official, mayors, and so on. And then I followed those up with what I call the tour. Went out, met with almost every elected official, several township trustees, the city auditor, so on and so forth. Throughout those meetings and all of that, I was able to gather a lot of wealth of information. I have currently in what was provided to me with a simple email ask, I have the budget from 2022 to 2026, actual spend, full budgets, not only for Sandusky County, but I have it for Seneca and Huron County that I've used as comparisons for my data gathering. Throughout that process, I have found that there's a lot of holes in our system that are going to be fairly easy to fix. They're going to take time. As Dave mentioned, you can't eat an elephant in a bite, but it's not that difficult, I don't believe. I think we'll be able to handle it pretty reasonably, pretty efficiently. Basically, we just need to get to common sense government, common sense money management, and common sense goals for our community, and the rest of it will take care of itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Timothy?
I'm Tim, and over the past months, I've had the privilege of meeting several kinds of people across Sandusky County, and I've heard pretty much the same message over and over again. A lot of it is property taxes, and the middle class is actually being destroyed. And why are so many people leaving Sandusky County? And we've actually had 1,000 people leave within the past 10 years. And one other thing is that nobody feels like they're being told the truth about where their money is going, just like with what you said. I didn't run for commissioner because I needed a title. I'm running because I watched the citizens of this county being taxed in the corners that they cannot get out. And I ran because too many residents, they feel like the government decisions are happening to them instead of with them. Some people, they're actually waiting for government to fix everything, but real change has never started at the top. It all starts with the people. It starts locally, and it starts with unity in the community. And along this journey, I have learned something very important, is that most voters, they truly don't really know their candidates. Not because they don't care, not because the information isn't clear, simply the process isn't transparent, and neither are a lot of the conversations. And I've also learned that many residents are frustrated about the rising property taxes, while a lot of the officials are saying, hey, everything is just fine. And this disconnect is real, and it's hurting a lot of trust. If I'm elected, my first priority is simple. Open the books. Not the polished version, but the real ones. Line by line, dollar for dollar. Because if the public is paying the bill, don't you think you have the right to see the receipts? Second, I believe that our seniors should be protected from any unnecessary tax burdens because they're the ones that built this county, and they shouldn't be punished for staying in their homes. And third, I want to strengthen the communities, not by adding more layers of government, but by giving people the information and the tools that they need to make decisions together, because a strong community is built from the bottom up, not the top down. I'm not here to promise magic solutions. I'm here to restore something more important. That's accountability, clarity, and unity. Because you see, whenever a community stands together, it becomes impossible to ignore. It becomes impossible to divide, and very impossible to stop.
3 seconds.
If you want a county commissioner who's going to fight for transparency, who's going to listen before acting, who believes that the people, not the system, are the engines of this county's future, then I would be very honored to earn your support. Thank you very much.
We'll invite Curtis back up for 2 minutes to answer a question.
Kurt, what specific actions can a county take to make it easier to start, grow, and sustain small businesses?
Some actions the county can take, I think one is we can lower our sales tax rate. Right now, we are one of the higher counties in the area with our sales tax, and a sales tax increase was implemented by the commissioners years ago that was supposed to be temporary and no longer, and has been on the books ever since. So I think we could lower our sales tax by 0.5%. That'd make us more competitive with other counties, thus making it more successful for smaller businesses and even larger businesses to move into our county and sell their wares and services here. Yeah.
Richard?
Richard, local employers continue to face workforce shortages. How will you collaborate with schools, career centers, and regional partners to strengthen the local talent pipeline?
Well, as one of those local employers, I've employed, up until December, I've employed over 100 people, pretty consistency for the last 20 years. It's all through education, right? Education and attraction. If you have programs where people can get treated well, get a fair earnings and that kind of thing, you'll be able to retain employment. As far as trade schools, we have a very good trade school in Vanguard here that we're actually at, and we've used that as a source for our stuff, and we still use it as a source for some of our things. So we just need to integrate that stuff with those. We do an internship program with Terra that works with us to develop some of their kids in the music program and the video program. There's a lot of tools out there. We just need to maybe have some meetings with the local employers to let them know what's available. Thank you.
Tim, a lack of available in affordable housing is impacting workforce growth. What role should the county play in encouraging housing development?
Now, when you're talking about housing development, are you talking about building new housing for HUD?
Affordable housing in general.
Well, affordable housing, well, actually, I think property taxes should be addressed initially. We really don't need those. I've sat down and done the math. Building property, or building, I think it would be great, except one thing is going to be the stopper, and that is the officials are wanting to implement immediate, well, I don't know about immediate, but they're wanting to find these people that are delinquent in their taxes, their property taxes, and take that property over. Now, how's that going to help the housing crisis? And that's it.
All right, gentlemen, you'll have 1 minute for any closing remarks. Kurt?
Not only will I bring the office of commissioner back to the people through the ways that I mentioned earlier, I will be a commissioner of the people. I said before that I'm currently a CDL truck driver, but if elected, I will leave that driver position behind and make the office of a commissioner my full-time job, because it certainly pays well enough to be a full-time job. I won't have other major commitments to distract me from my duties, and I can ensure this office will be my #1 priority. Far too many elected officials make their office a secondary or even tertiary concern. I guarantee I will not be like those elected officials. I'm excited to step into the world of local government as a fresh face who isn't numb to the ongoing issues facing this county. Every concern, every problem, every complaint will make me take notice and will not be ignored. And we will revel together in the successes, achievements, and improvements to our beautiful little corner of the state. Thank you for your time, and everyone have a wonderful night.
Richard?
Yeah, just real quick, just a couple of things on sales tax. We're actually average in sales tax. We're 7.25. The county state average is 7.3. So we're in line there. Just for a little fact check, the 1 quarter of that goes to fund our EMS also. So it's kind of an important thing. As far as housing goes, if we did a countywide CRA, that would help with some housing, and also the current land bank situation, opposed to tearing houses down and using that money for demolition work. We could use that money to encourage remodelers, rebuilders to rebuild these current homes, get them live-in ready quickly, regenerating income, regenerating things that are necessary to fill that void of the 1,000 homes that are shorted in Sandusky County. Those two things those are things that are already on the radar and well and planned, and I have a business background that stems from the time I was 19 years old, so nearly 30 years of business. I look forward to being able to work for you, work smart with your money, and build Sandusky County. Thank you.
Tim?
Each and every candidate here, we're all seeking a position, but the thing about this is, this isn't about us. The real person that is important is the people. So getting to know the candidate is one of the most important things. We are not, this is not a popularity contest, because you people here are supposed to be the popular ones. One thing that I do want to address is with what Eric Watson said. Eric Watson said it's going to take all of us, and this is exactly why unity in the community is very important. Gary, you made mention if anybody has another plan about property taxes, you would like to know. I do have a plan. I've addressed this with several other financial professionals. The thing about it is, we live in an instant world. Everybody's going to want instant gratification on this. It is going to take a lot of time. And once I'm elected, I am going to share this. I am going to share this with a lot of other people on the state level. Thank you.
And I thank you guys for attending tonight, and that concludes all of our candidates that we have present this evening for all the races. We appreciate everyone's attendance. Thanks again to the Chamber Legislative Committee for putting this on, and enjoy your evening.